Guys, I actually have something for you all here, which I'm going to now show it to you. And what I'm going to show you is all of the diseases, the communicable diseases, their symptoms, how to avoid them, etc. etc. If you want, you can screenshot this because it is everything you need to know about all communicable diseases. And make sure you revise this because it's got everything on it. So the first thing is viruses, right? Um, an example is measles, how it's spread. So it's inhaling droplets from sneeze and coughs, airborne diseases. Now, this actually for measles is a 2 mark answer. The first mark is to say that, when somebody sneezes or cough, that's your first mark. But the second mark is to say that it's inhaled by another person, right? And then, so in terms of the symptoms, you've got fever and a red rash. It may cause blindness and brain damage and cause death, especially with younger children. So there's no treatment if a person is affected, they must be isolated. And vaccination is the best prevention in this instance. It says you need to be able to explain how vaccines work, which is a different topic. So that's just an extra note for you. Another virus is HIV, which can lead to AIDS, and it's done in a few ways. So it's unprotected intercourse, sharing needles. So it's quite common with drug users and using contaminated blood transfusion. So there was a big thing in the 70s, 1970s and 90 up to 1991 where basically a lot of people in the UK ended up having contaminated blood transfusion, and so a lot of them got HIV. Some of them got hepatitis C from it as well. So, and also a mother can pass it on to her unborn child via the placenta. So, if a mother is expecting a baby and she has HIV, she can pass it on to her unborn child. So it starts off as flu-like symptoms, and there's a suppression of immune system. Eventually, it develops into AIDS, and basically, because you've got a suppressed immune system, it's going to make you constantly sick, and it's going to increase your chances of getting cancer. Don't share needles. Make sure you're using a barrier method during intercourse. Blood donors, screen them. Don't breastfeed babies as well because it can go via the mother's milk. Another virus is tobacco mosaic virus, which is spread by contact between diseased plants and healthy plants. And it can be spread by vectors, so it can be spread from plant to plant via insects. And what happens in this case is you have discoloration of the leaves, which means that there's less chloroplast, so less photosynthesis. And if you've got less photosynthesis, you've got less glucose. And glucose, remember, is used for lots of different things. So it's used to make proteins, it's used to make fats, it's used to make other things. And basically, it means overall that the plant is not going to grow as well. Of course, it's also used for respiration and active transport as well. Glucose is. There's no treatment, but you need good pest control and crop control. So if you have contaminated leaves, you need to destroy them. Now, another one, this is where the question came in, was a bacteria. So we've moved from viruses to bacteria. You've got salmonella, which causes food poisoning. And basically, the problem with that, how do you get it, is eating contaminated food. And it especially comes from poultry, which is chicken. You can get it from undercooked eggs and meat as well. And here is the symptoms. So fever, abdominal cramps, vomiting, diarrhea, and it can kill the young people and old people. So in the UK, poultry, which is chicken, is vaccinated against salmonella. And basically, to avoid it, you need to cook food thoroughly and wash hands and surfaces. There was a question in the past about, well, why does this increase? Why does salmonella increase during the summer? So the two reasons why this would happen is because number one, it's warm conditions and therefore bacteria grows better in warm conditions. And the second issue is because in summer, what are a lot of people doing in their gardens? In fact, I've put up a story of me doing it as well. A barbecue, yeah. Um, a lot of people they're doing barbecues and therefore they're not going to uh, thoroughly cook the food, and so there's a lot higher risk in the summer because people are enjoying the summer, doing barbecues, thinking they're the barbecue experts and not cooking thoroughly, and therefore causing the bacteria to be present in the food. Okay, so then you've got bacteria, another bacteria which is gonorrhea, which is an STD, and once again is caused by not using a barrier method of protection, right? And basically, this one is quite actually, there's a big problem in the UK with this at the moment because they are now becoming antibiotic resistant. So we use antibiotics to kill bacteria. However, gonorrhea is becoming antibiotic resistant. And so, what's the problem with it? So, what symptoms? It's pain on urinating. It causes yellow and green discharge from your gonad areas, uh, and basically in long-term problems, it's going to cause problems in the pelvis. It can cause infertility, ectopic pregnancy. It's where basically the embryo or the fertilized egg embeds in the wrong place instead of embedding in the uterus. So, and that's dangerous for both the developing embryo and the mother as well. It can also cause blindness in newborn babies. So basically, what you got to make sure you're doing is you're wearing a barrier method, and antibiotic is the treatment. Although, like I said, the big problem is they're becoming antibiotic resistant, right? So, not engaging in these types of activities would help a lot, right? Okay, then what you've got is a fungus. Now, one fungus that is on here is the black spot fungus, which roses and leaves of roses. And they are fungus and they're carried by wind and water. Black spots on leaves, what do? They less chloroplasts, less photosynthesis, less growth, and therefore the flower cannot develop and the plant eventually dies. So basically, how do you remove that? You destroy it using a fungicide. Now, there is another fungus that they like to ask about quite a bit, which is athlete's foot. Symptoms are you have itchy feet, you have flaky feet, and eventually they can affect your toenails and cause discoloration in your toenails as well. How do you treat it? Is basically you got to make sure that when you do wet your feet, you make sure that they're completely dry, and then you wear appropriate footwear. Also, walking barefoot in areas such as showers that are contaminated, or in particular swimming pools, walking barefoot that can transfer and cause athlete's foot. The last one is protists. Protists are a unicellular organism that is it's eukaryotic. So, in other words, it does have a nucleus, and they can cause malaria, and which malaria is caused by a vector, and the vector in this case is a female mosquito known as the Anopheles mosquito, and it carries the protist and then it injects it into uh, people. And basically, the problems with protists is that can damage the liver and red blood cells, can cause recurrent fevers, and can be fatal. Ways to deal with this is you're going to use insecticides to kill the mosquitoes, use mosquito nets to ensure that they can't get through to you, prevent mosquito breeding, and anti-malarial drugs as well. You need to ensure that there are no stagnant water because that's where it lays its eggs.